بلد عريق في قلب القارة الأوروبية، لعبت دوراً محورياً في تشكيل أوروبا الحديثة من الإمبراطورية الرومانية مروراً بفترة الإصلاح البروتستانتي وصولاً إلى العصر الحديث. كانت دوماً في عمق وبؤرة التحولات السياسية والاقتصادية التي شهدتها القارة العجوز. هي أكبر اقتصاد في أوروبا ورابع أكبر اقتصاد في العالم من حيث إجمالي الناتج المحلي. تحدها 9 دول، ما يجعلها مركزاً استراتيجياً للتجارة والتواصل بين شرق وغرب القارة. هي قوة عالمية رائدة، فهي واحدة من أبرز الدول الأوروبية وأكثرها تأثيراً على الساحة الدولية في السياسة والاقتصاد والتكنولوجيا والسياحة والثقافة والفنون. قاطرة أوروبا الصناعية اقتصادها قوي، يعتمد على الابتكار التكنولوجي والصناعات المتقدمة والبحث العلمي. موطن لعدد من الشركات العملاقة مثل مرسيدس بنز وبي ام دبليو وفولكس واجن وسيمنز وباير التي تقود الأسواق العالمية. لديها إمكانات سياحية هائلة جعلت منها مقصد للسائحين من مختلف أنحاء العالم، فمن الغابات السوداء وسحر بافاريا إلى المدن العريقة مثل برلين وميونخ وهامبورغ. إنها جمهورية ألمانيا الإتحادية. أهلا بكم مشاهدينا في حلقة جديدة ولقاء جديد من برنامجكم مع السفير. معي ومعكم في حلقة هذا اليوم سعادة سفير جمهورية ألمانيا الإتحادية هانس فون ريبنيتس. Your Excellency, welcome to our show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Your Excellency, can you share with us your impressions of Kuwait and your experience as the German ambassador here?
Yes, of course I can. I'm here now for almost 2.5 years, and Kuwait is a wonderful country. It has embraced me from the very first day. And I remember very well when somebody told me, don't you worry, you will be like a Kuwaiti in a few days. And that was good.
Yes. How do you evaluate the bilateral relations between Germany and Kuwait, its past, present, and the future aspects?
Well, we have just celebrated last year in 2024 our 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations with the state of Kuwait. And I could say that 60 years is a long time. It's about 3 generations.
Definitely.
But they have been very intense, these relations. Well, sometimes up, sometimes down, but they were always very, very cordial. And that's what is important. You need to have trust and you need to have always a good contact.
Yes, yes. What are the, let's say, most important fields of cooperation between the two countries? How can these be expanded further in the future?
Well, you see, relations have always their different angles. And one of the angles here is that there are relations which are official, and there are relations with civil society, there are relations on the cultural field, there are economic relations. And I think all of them, and that's more a generality, all of them can always be better. At the moment, I'm very happy that we have a good relationship, that there is a thorough exchange on all these levels. And personally, I feel that also Kuwait has a wonderful ambassador, just a new one in Berlin. And we are linking up with her on a constant basis. So this is good. You just forge this relationship every day.
Yes, definitely. How many agreements and MOUs lead the bilateral relations between the two countries? Are you preparing like some new agreements to be signed in the future? And let's say in which fields?
We have had good discussions in the last year thinking about our 60th anniversary. And we are just embarking and working on putting our relationship on a more strategic basis. So we are working on an MOU on strategic dialogue between the state of Kuwait and the Federal Republic of Germany. This hopefully will come about in this year. And then we have also some other issues, like, for instance, reviewing our bilateral tax exemption agreement. So there, the double taxation agreement is on its way. We are starting to, put it in modern forms so that it is up to date. And we are working on our cultural affairs MOU and several other issues as well.
Yes. What about the volume of the bilateral trade in both ways?
Well, you see, the volume of our bilateral trade has evolved tremendously, and it is rising at the moment. So we can be very happy that Germany, with its exchange to Kuwait, is one of the biggest economic factors of the European Union. And we are having a trade balance which is slightly unbalanced, actually. The word is misleading, as we are not taking as many goods from Kuwait to Germany as Kuwait imports from Germany. But we are working on that, and so in the end we hope that we will have a better way in the next years.
Yes. How do you see the Kuwaiti Vision 2035?
It is always important to have a very substantial aim for a state and a society in it. So I commend the government of Kuwait for its efforts to actually put in place a vision like that. We know about Vision 2035. Looking into the details of that is not my task here in this sense. What I see is that there is a huge effort to bring Kuwait up to speed in the sense that it can compete on the world market economically, and that it has a better future for its citizens and its inhabitants, because there are so many foreigners here, in the coming years. And these efforts are commendable.
Yes. Speaking about the economic, let's say, to what extent are the German companies interested in its huge projects?
Well, huge projects are always difficult to handle because you have either big companies who are doing it all, or you are participating in smaller things. I'm happy to say that German companies are participating in almost every project in Kuwait, meaning that they are providing the necessary technology or providing assistance in terms of planning, or actually going out to fix things which have been done before. That is a good combination, and we have projects like Terminal 2. We have also the issue of the railroad connections, which are interesting for German companies. And last but not least, but very important to us, renewable energy. So in that case, yes, there are always German companies who would like to participate.
Yes, as we all know, like German companies equals, let's say, good work and quality and the best. As we all know, the good reputation of these
Inshallah.
companies. Yes.
Well, you see, the world hasn't become easier at the moment. There are crises all over the world. And just simply trying to work together in terms of information exchange, in terms of looking what are we each other, what are we looking for, what are we missing. There we all would say that the security of Kuwait is as important as our own security. So if there is a field of cooperation, like, what should I say, the marine environment, there is always a good chance that German companies would come up and say, yes, well, why don't we support your work there?
Yes, definitely. مشاهدينا فاصل ونرجع نكمل حوارنا. رجعنا لكم من بعد الفاصل ونستكمل حوارنا مع السفير الألماني لدى البلاد. Your Excellency, how can you describe the coordination between the two countries in the international arenas?
Oh, this coordination is actually fantastic. We are cooperating together in the United Nations from the time when Kuwait actually was participating as a member of the Security Council. And this cooperation, even after that time, has been continued. So we are very much coordinating our moves in New York, in the United Nations, but also in all the other organizations linked to the United Nations system. And recently, Kuwait has been elected to the Human Rights Council in Geneva. We have been a staunch supporter of Kuwait to become a member of that body. And we are working together with them also on the level of the European Union, but also bilaterally on issues covered in Geneva. Now, other international organizations, there is always something where we find common interest and grounds. And actually, I commend Kuwait for being actually at the moment at the helm of the GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council, and I'm very happy that I can really link up with my colleagues from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to tell me what they really are doing and where we are going.
Yes. What about Kuwait's humanitarian role in both natural disasters and man-made ones?
Now, I was just recently visiting the Society of the Red Crescent in Kuwait, and I was informed and briefed on the efforts of the Red Crescent in the sense of humanitarian aid. That, of course, is for areas like Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, yes, but also Sudan. It was very interesting to see that the Red Crescent here has a good role to play on, yes, the command of the government. And we are following this up, and we try to do, on the other hand, some cooperation on the level of development assistance in third countries.
Yes. Your Excellency, what are the most important efforts exerted by the Embassy to encourage and reinforce cultural exchanges?
Well, we had a number of cultural exchanges during the year of our 60th anniversary last year. There were musicians here who actually performed in the Jabal Ahmed Cultural Center to a huge audience, and it was a big success. Just now, recently, we had a good cooperation with our French colleagues. As you know, Germany and France, neighboring countries, are very close to each other. And we had a German group of musicians performing in the German embassy and a French concert following up later on. And this year, actually, we are going into the year where Kuwait is being the cultural capital, yes, of the Arab world. And I am in constant touch at the moment with the National Council for Cultural Literature and Arts, or Arts and Letters, sorry, where basically the main planning for the cultural year of Kuwait is being done. And we see that we will have good things coming up this year in the cooperation with our Kuwaiti friends.
Did you plan for something for the 2025 cultural event?
Yes, we are about to do something which will be at the beginning of the season after the summer break.
Yeah, perfect. Tell us about the importance of the academic and the cooperation in the field of science and technology.
There are two sides to this question. First of all, let me talk about the exchange of students. If I say exchange, I might be having a bit of exaggeration here. There are students of Kuwait in Germany, and as you know, German universities are very much known for their detailed way of doing the studies. Yes. But there are too little German students being in universities of Kuwait. I only know of two. We will have to increase this number, so there's always something we can do and work about. In terms of cooperation of scientific organizations, there is a very practical cooperation ongoing. There was a contribution of German scientists in the establishment of Shagaya, the renewable energy project. And at the moment, we are also helping Kuwaiti institutions with the scientific part of waste management, which seems to be a bit odd, but on the other hand, it's very important because waste is something we have to really keep an eye on.
Yes, and it's challenging too.
Correct?
Yeah. Do you have the number of the Kuwaiti students who study in Germany and vice versa?
No, I said we will have a few German students being here in Kuwait, but the numbers of Kuwaiti citizens or students in German universities, I think, can be increased. We are looking forward to receive a lot of them, and actually at the moment we are participating in the education fair in Kuwait in order to promote the possibilities to study in Germany.
Yes. Your Excellency, as we all know, Germany is a world-renowned tourist destination. How do you see tourism contributing to the strengthening of relation between the two countries?
Well, as welcoming as Kuwait is, Germany, I think, doesn't stand back on that one. We are also very welcoming. And I know all from my experience I had in the last 2.5 years here, that there are a lot of Kuwaitis who travel to my country, to Germany. And okay, one thing is to obtain a visa, but the other thing is to go to Germany and to really enjoy the diversity of my home country. From the mountains of Bavaria until the long and vast beaches of the North and East Baltic Seas, I think there are so many things you can see, there are so many things you can do, and I would recommend to actually attend our tourist fair, which we are always doing in October, November of every year.
Your Excellency, what's the one hidden gem in Germany that you would recommend to Kuwaiti tourists? I know it's a difficult question.
That is the most difficult question, because whatever I say, I will get the wrath of the others who are not mentioned.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, if you go to the part where you have a landscape which is culturally and at the same time historically interesting, you have to go right into the center of Germany along the river Elbe. And I think the most beautiful city in Germany, however destroyed it was after the World War II, is Dresden. So don't miss out on Dresden.
Okay, sure. مشاهدينا فاصل نرجع لكم. رجعنا لكم من بعد الفاصل مع سعادة السفير الألماني لدى البلاد. Your Excellency, speaking about the two brotherly people, are there any cultural similarities between the Germans and Kuwaitis that you've noticed?
Well, you might think that there are not many similarities between a desert country like Kuwait and a wooden or let's say wood country like Germany, where there are lots of forests. But there are similarities. And one of the things which I have noticed and which I really love is that there is this feeling when you go into Ramadan in Kuwait, which is very similar to go into Advent, which is the time before Christmas in Germany. There are common roots to that. Because it is a time where you gather yourself, where you bring together the family, where you try to be, open also in terms of helping other people, etc. And this exactly the same thing is in our tradition, that we have this time in Advent, which is the month of December.
Yes, yes. Let's go back in time and ask you, Your Excellency, when did you present your credentials? What are the most outstanding memories about that day?
Well, the most outstanding memories about that day is that I was giving my credentials to His Highness, the Amir Sheikh Michal at the moment, but at that time he was Crown Prince.
Yes.
And he was so kind to me and spoke to me very openly about his relationship to Germany. So I immediately was embraced by his friendship.
Yes, yes, he is definitely. Can you share a memorable experience that you had during your time in Kuwait?
Yes, I can. There are so many things. I mean, one thing which is connected to the nature and not to the humans, because the most memorable things are meeting Kuwaitis in their own homes, which I can do anytime if I go to Diwaniyas. But about nature was one thing when I was out with a small boat looking at the island of Failaka. On my very first year, I ran into a sea storm of an intensity which I didn't know was even happening. So the wind was blowing, there was no visibility, and I didn't know whether the boat was still there. So I was afraid that I would go to be stuck on the island, which was not the case. But it was a fascinating natural phenomenon.
Yes, it's a very new thing to you, actually. You've experienced, definitely. Okay, speaking about your free time, how do you like to spend it?
Well, there are many things you can do in Kuwait. When I'm going out, I'm looking for new places, and there are so many hidden gems in Kuwait. I'm going out to a small museum, private one. I don't know whether you know it, the Tariq Rajab Museum. It is actually meeting people if you go to Mubarakia on the market. So I have sometimes go with my friends there just to have a bite and to speak and to enjoy the wonderful atmosphere of the market.
Your Excellency, you're the type of person actually who likes to discover hidden gems, actually. As I know, because you've mentioned like this museum, I've never known it before. Okay, what is the most important Kuwaiti tradition you can describe as unique?
The most important Kuwaiti tradition, I think it is this tradition of having diwaniyas. It is even distinct from the other neighboring countries who come from the same culture. And it is so distinct that I was amazed and not prepared for the openness of the families, of actually everybody who invited me to come to see them. And the free speech you can have, you can discuss issues, and you know yet that you are in a safe place, which is, for an ambassador at least, a very important thing as well. Definitely. So I like this tradition of diwaniyas, and you know, after 2.5 years, I also know what a kashta is, and you know that is what I love about this country. They have all kinds of ways of means to meet each other and to be sociable.
Yes, and they know how to entertain themselves with the bare minimum things.
Alhamdulillah.
Your Excellency, to what extent do you support the Kuwaiti file and visa exemption?
Germany is of the opinion that we should find a good solution for the whole of the Gulf. There are differences at the moment, and the process, which is now actually done in Brussels with the Commission, they will propose a common law which will enable all member states of the Schengen environment to get the waiver on the way. It will be taken time because, as you know, and maybe also your followers will have to know, this needs not only the requirement to have the European Parliament give its consent, but also the national parliaments of the members of the Schengen states. So there is a number which is high, and this will take time.
Yes. How many visas does the embassy issue every year?
Well, that depended very much on the year. During COVID, it was less, but now we have reached the good times again. Let's say we have 35,000 visa, which we have issued in 2024, and we will be sure to go higher this year. There is one thing which I would like to know. In order to serve everybody who wishes to have a trip to Germany and a visa from Germany, a Schengen visa from Germany, you can actually apply already 6 months in ahead of your travel. So for the summer months, don't wait until July. Come now. That is important because then the waiting times in the visa exception office will be less. Yes. And on top of that, be prepared. You can have all of your documents together and then it's done in a few minutes and you don't have to wait for it. And after all, it's 5 years for Kuwaiti citizens now. So it's a long time you can have a visa, and it's just one application.
Yes, perfect. Are you active on social media?
Of course, the embassy is active on social media. Go to Instagram. Yeah? That is the most important thing for us, to have a good connection to the social media public. We are very happy that we are outnumbering a number of other Instagram channels in Kuwait.
Yes. How do you evaluate its impact on public opinion?
Well, you can measure that one way or the other. There is an impact because you have to be present in order to, make your voices heard. On the other hand side, we have to be very realistic. It is having rather no impact in the sense that, we can solve issues with that. But just to be in the background, you can see a lot of pictures from Germany. You can see what I am doing as ambassador and what the main issues of the embassies are at the moment. So just go on Instagram.
Yes. Your Excellency, speaking about Ramadan, do you usually participate in iftar?
Yes, of course. And we are also inviting for iftar ourselves. So we will have, during Ramadan, we have iftar, both in our residence as well as outside. And it is important for that, because we will link up with our friends, not only officially, but in this very private and very individual way. And it is good to see that a lot of them are coming. We love to give iftar.
Yes. Your Excellency, speaking about you as a German citizen, what makes you happy?
Getting things done. It is really the most rewarding thing to say, I am embarking on a problem, I want to solve it, I want to solve it with the right answer, and I want to make it happen. So that's one of the things which I think as a German is a national character, if you may say,
Yes.
Getting things done.
Yes, Your Excellency, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. مشاهدينا، وصلنا معاكم لختام حوار هذا اليوم من برنامجكم مع السفير. دمتم في أمان الله ورعايته.